In the quiet heartland of Iowa lay the town of Elkhorn Grove, where every Saturday morning belonged to the farmer's market. Families mingled, homemade jams changed hands, and the warm aroma of fresh bread floated in the crisp air. For 24-year-old Sarah Bell, this wasn't just a weekly tradition, it was how she survived. After her father's passing, she had taken over the humble produce stand he began years ago. On their 5-acre farm, she cultivated tomatoes, beans, and heirloom carrots. Business was slow, but the support of her community kept her going. That morning, Sarah arrived early to set up her stall, her tired smile hiding the exhaustion of a week spent skipping meals to afford seeds and supplies. Her 9-year-old brother Ben, always by her side, carefully arranged the produce baskets just like their father had taught them. To the outside world, she appeared upbeat, greeting customers with warmth and humility. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, whispers began circulating through the market. Something about a surprise visitor. A few folks mentioned seeing security near the county road, but most dismissed it. That was until a sleek black SUV quietly rolled into the gravel lot. Out stepped President Donald J. Trump. There was no big entourage, just a few agents and an aide. Dressed in a navy jacket and baseball cap, Trump walked straight into the heart of the market. The crowd instinctively parted as he approached. Sarah looked up from her table, dirt on her hands, her apron flour-stained. Her stall stood directly in his path. "Good morning," Trump said with a smile. "What do we have here?" Stunned silence fell. "Tomatoes, sir," Sarah answered nervously. "Fresh from our farm." He picked one up, inspected it carefully, then nodded. "Let's talk about this tomato." He turned toward the crowd, holding the tomato like a prized possession. "This tomato," he said, "represents America. Hard work, good soil, family." Everyone leaned in, listening. "You grow these yourself?" he asked. "Yes, sir," she replied, her voice steadying. "My dad started the farm. I took over when he passed." Trump nodded, visibly moved. "What's your name?" "Sarah Bell." "Sarah," he said, raising the tomato. "This is the best tomato I've seen in years. We talk about rebuilding America, but it begins right here, with people like you." There were some polite claps, uncertain if this was a political gesture. But then Trump did something no one expected. He reached into his wallet, pulled out a crisp $100 bill, and said, "I'll take one tomato." "Keep the change." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Sarah blinked in disbelief. "One tomato?" she asked. "One tomato," he repeated with a grin. Ben handed it to him like it was a treasure. Trump held it high and said, "Let's hear it. For farmers like Sarah, the heroes who feed our nation." The applause this time was louder, genuine. As he walked away, Sarah remained rooted in place. Her modest stall had just become a symbol of something far greater, but this moment wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. By evening, the story had gone viral. Clips from phones spread across social media. Trump buys a tomato trended online. TikTok edits captured Sarah's shy smile and Ben's wide-eyed excitement. News anchors praised the encounter as a rare, unscripted gesture of leadership. Sarah, still in her work boots, sat on the farmhouse porch scrolling through messages. Encouragement poured in from strangers across the country. "You're what? America is all about. My grandfather was a farmer. Thank you for reminding us of real values." One message read, "My dad cried watching you and your brother. Thank you for being real." Beside her, Ben held the tomato, the same one Trump had purchased but left behind. "We should plant its seeds," he said. Sarah ruffled his hair. "Maybe we will." Headlights pulled into the driveway. Mayor Holston stepped out of his car, smiling broadly. "You made Elkhorn Grove proud today." "I just sold a tomato," Sarah replied with a nervous laugh. "No," the mayor said. "You did more than that. The president called me. He wants to visit the farm tomorrow." "The gay farm?" Sarah asked, stunned. "He said your story touched him. He wants to see the soil." Her heart raced. The barn was messy, the crops still recovering from drought, but beneath her nerves, something stirred. Hope. Something she hadn't felt in a long time. That night, she barely slept. Not from anxiety, but because she sensed tomorrow would change everything. At dawn, Secret Service agents swept across the Bell farm, preparing for the visit. Sarah, dressed in worn jeans and a hand-me-down flannel, did her best to tidy up. President Trump arrived shortly after 8 a.m., dressed casually in boots. "I told my team," he said, shaking her hand. "I wanted to see where that tomato came from." She led him down the path to the field. The earth was cracked. Last summer's drought had left its mark. Trump knelt, scooping a handful of soil into his palm. "This," he said, "is the soil of sacrifice. You're doing more here than most people in D.C. ever will." She smiled faintly. "Some days, it doesn't feel like it." "Tell me about your father," Trump asked. "His name was David," she explained. "He started the farm with a dream and a single plow. He passed last year from heart failure." Trump was quiet. "He sounds like a man I would have liked." They continued walking, past the chicken coop, past an old tractor that hadn't worked in months. At the barn, Trump paused. "Do you know why I really came?" he asked. Sarah shook her head. "I didn't come for a photo op. I came because I needed to see hope. And you, this place, you gave me that." He lingered near the porch, sipping coffee from a chipped mug she'd offered. "It wasn't about presentation here, it was about heart." "You know," Trump said, "we should be helping people like you. Not with speeches, but with tools." "What do you mean?" she asked. He pointed to the broken tractor. "You can't grow dreams with broken equipment." He pulled out his phone and handed it to his aide. "Find someone who can donate a new tractor. American-made. Today." Sarah's eyes widened. "You're serious?" "As serious as a busted axle," he replied. Ben came running over. "Mr. President, you got to see our scarecrow. It looks like Uncle Jimmy." Trump laughed and followed him. In that moment, Sarah didn't see a politician. She saw a man who understood the value of planting and protecting. After he left, Elkhorn Grove felt different. This wasn't about politics anymore. It was about being seen. For Sarah, hope had finally taken root. Within 2 days, transformation began. News crews arrived, volunteers too. And just as promised, a gleaming red tractor arrived from Illinois, fully paid for. Sarah cried when she saw it. Children painted Bell Farm across the barn in vibrant colors. A local baker delivered pies daily. Community pride surged. Of course, not everyone was convinced. Some whispered it was a stunt, that the buzz would fade. Sarah didn't have time to argue. She was too busy planting, organizing, dreaming. She revived the greenhouse her father once started, hired teens for weekend work, and realized her farm was becoming more than just a livelihood. It was becoming a movement. One day, a letter arrived from Washington, D.C. It was handwritten, "Don't buy. Stop. America needs you." DJT tears welled in Sarah's eyes as she placed the letter next to her father's photo. "Look, Dad," she whispered. "We're not invisible anymore." Weeks later, a yellow school bus pulled in. Children from an inner-city school in Chicago had seen Sarah's story. Their teacher arranged a visit. As the wide-eyed kids explored the farm, Sarah guided them through the tomato rows, let them pet the goats, and handed out sunflower seeds. One little girl, Mariah, looked up and asked, "Are you famous?" Sarah laughed. "Not really." "But you're on my phone," Mariah said, showing her a video. "You made the president cry." That night, Sarah scribbled a note on her chalkboard. "This farm doesn't just grow food, it grows futures." The photo went viral again. With the fame came scrutiny. Pundits debated her motives. Was she a symbol or a pawn? Some articles called her Trump's tomato girl. Sarah stayed away from interviews. She didn't want to be anyone's mascot, just a farmer, but the criticism stung. One morning she found the word "sellout" spray-painted on the barn. She stared at it in silence. Ben came out with a rag and bucket scrubbing beside her. "You didn't sell out," he said. "No," she whispered. "We're still here." Later that evening, local veterans painted over the graffiti and added a mural of her father, arms crossed, standing proud. They left a note. Some people write headlines. Others write history. As spring neared, the farmhouse mailbox overflowed. Letters from farmers, teachers, veterans. One man from Nebraska wrote, "I was about to sell my land, but after seeing you, I planted again." Sarah pinned it above her desk. Another letter came with a $500 check and a note for seeds, for dreams. She didn't cash it. She framed it, she wrote, back to as many people as she could, sometimes sending seeds from her crop. One woman from Kentucky later replied, "My tomato plant grew." My son smiled for the first time in weeks. Sarah realized she wasn't just growing food. She was planting connection. 3 months after that fateful market day, President Trump returned, unannounced. No cameras, just him. Sarah nearly dropped a basket of beans when she saw him. "I heard you've become a national treasure," he joked. "Depends who you ask," she said, laughing. They walked to the edge of the field. "You've made your father proud," Trump said. "Some days I feel like I'm just holding it all together." "You're doing more than that," he replied.